Now, I don't know about you guys, but I really like PC hardware, in case you haven't noticed. And one thing that I like to do is tinker and try to fix hardware whenever it's not wanting to behave. Now, looking at this, if you're not familiar with it, this is the archive. This is where my RAID array is, where all of my YouTube video storage goes, where a lot of my long-term storage goes for video files and for just general computing files and all that fun stuff. I do offloaded rendering and workloads from my desktop to this. So, like, for example, this is where I run game servers if I'm playing with friends, you know, that kind of stuff. But Zen 2 was announced recently, was it not? So I have some plans for Zen 2 hardware, and in the meantime, that means that eventually the archive will get some upgrades. And one of those upgrades is going to involve a new GPU, because as you can see, I have a Radeon 6770 that is out of focus. There we go. It's dusty, it needs some love. But this GPU is just in here so that way it has a video output. It's not really designed to do anything useful. It's just for general purpose computing. And so that way I can remote in and the computer not complain and run it like 640 by 480. Now what I want to do is give it this bad boy. This is a GTX 1070 that I acquired from a coworker because the problem description as it was told to me was that this card corrupts Windows installations. That is a very, what's the word I'm looking for, unusual problem to have. So, of course, that piqued my interest right away, and he actually bought I think a 570 or a 580 to replace this, and he was just going to throw it away, and was like, hey, do you want this? And I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. Best case scenario, I fix it, and it goes in the archive, and can go make somebody happy if my plans come through. If it doesn't work, then I have a really nice coaster and something else to go on my shelf to go with all the other GPUs. So you know what? It's a win-win. But what I'd like to do is I'd like to try to figure out, because I've heard of drivers corrupting Windows. I've heard of updates crashing Windows. I've heard of like stuff like that. I've never heard of a piece of hardware that whenever it's inserted into Windows just causes it to kill itself. So this will be fun. We're just gonna plug it in, and then we're gonna see what happens, and hopefully it doesn't kill my hardware in the process. We're gonna switch to the wide angle here so you guys can kind of see what I'm doing a little better, or as some people like to call it, the 90s rap video filter. So the important thing to note here is this is the boot drive. Normally I have it screwed in. I have it pulled out and put up here just for demonstration purposes. And then these are I have a 4 terabyte drive and 3 2 terabyte drives. The 3 drives are in a RAID, and they go hooked up to this RAID card. So what we're going to do is we're going to disconnect all of the drives except for the Windows installation. I'm not really too worried about the Windows installation here. I think all I'm going to do is back up our Minecraft world and just call it a day, because this one's running Windows 8.1 Embedded Industry Pro, and what I'd like to do actually is load Windows 10 Enterprise on it so I can start messing with, or actually probably be Server 2016. I want to start messing with Active Directory and things like that and get all that set up. So I've been planning to nuke this Windows installation for a while anyway, so this will just kind of be my kick in the balls to do so if I need to. But yeah, let's get started with unhooking everything and then throwing this bad boy in and see what happens. All right, now we've already started with doing basic things. System's unplugged. I've drained the caps and the power supply. I am grounding myself on metal. No, you do not need a wrist strap. I've been doing this for about 15-20 years now, and I haven't killed a computer yet due to static discharge, and I don't plan on starting now. So as long as you're careful, and you're not an idiot, and you're not like licking your processor or something, then you should be fine. So first things first, what I'm going to do actually is I am just going to take out the RAID card entirely. I'm going to disconnect So this is a SAS-based RAID card. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the cable in there and just take the actual card out, which will protect my drives from any corruption issues if they exist. I doubt that there will be, but erring on the side of caution. I would actually, like, I don't really care about what's on this. It's a 500 gig hard drive that's got like 40 gigs of Windows on it, and that's it. So I really don't care. But if like my RAID array went down or the backup drive went down, that would be catastrophic amounts of data loss. So we're not gonna risk that. So the first thing, you know what, with this GPU. Now, I'm sure some of you are probably wondering why it doesn't have the plastic shroud on it anymore. That's because it broke a very long time ago. And funnily enough, the fan is mounted to the heatsink instead of the shroud. So I kind of don't really have much of a reason to replace the shroud, especially since all it does is sit there idle for 98% of its lifetime. So yeah, cheap, easy little card. You can play Skyrim at like 50 FPS, 40 FPS on like a mixture of high to low settings. So yeah, but that's not why we're here. This is why we're here. So let's slap this bad boy in. Okay, so we ran into a slight problem with this first slot here, where it was bumping up against the hard drive, so all I had to do is put it in the second slot here, and it's good to go. Now, the important thing to note is that I'm not screwing it down. It is stable, so I don't really have to worry about that. It's just going to be on its back here while I'm testing it. And then if I do happen to deploy it, then I will find a screw for it, but that's not that important right now. What's important is plugging in the power and seeing if this works. Okay, we're good there. So now let's just give it a test fire and see what happens. I'm not, just so you guys can see, there's ample, like I could probably stick another card down there. So there's ample room for fans and all that fun stuff. So nothing to worry about there. So let's get this bad boy fired up and see what happens. Okay. So the GPU is lighting up. The LEDs on top of it are lit. We're gonna get any video output. Hey, okay, so at least we got video output. So that's good. Okay, so the GPU booted up, everything was recognized. I am just installing the latest version of the NVIDIA driver, which as of the time of recording is 4.10, 4.12 something. It's the game-ready driver for Quake 2 RTX. Whatever version that is, I'll probably throw it up on screen. Hey, look at that, perfect timing. I'll probably throw it up on screen still. Yeah, it's that version. Okay, so we're just loading up the Unigine Valley benchmark, and we're just gonna see what happens. Hopefully everything renders okay, and we're all good to go. Alright, so we went through and we looped, so now I'm just starting the actual benchmark proper. I know it's going to be kind of hard to see up in the corner up here, but I have the FPS counter as well as the benchmark stuff down here in the corner. So, let's see if I can get close here. So just to give you an idea of the numbers that we're running at, that's about an average. The min-max looks pretty normal. There is the frame rate that is live. And everything seems to be working just fine on the 1070. So I'm going to let this run for like a while and see if it crashes and takes out Windows. And if it does, then cool. If not, then also cool. I just got a free 1070, I guess. Alright, this will tell you that the system that I'm running on, as well as... I don't know what number that is. Revision, maybe? I don't know. But I just ran it at 1080p. Its preset was custom, but the quality was high. I think the preset was custom so I could disable VSync. Anyway, so you can see an average of 65 FPS. With a minimum of 18.6 and a maximum of 109. The minimum number is probably just because I am running this on an FX 8150, and I also have the processor underclocked, and I have it set so that way it doesn't constantly run at full clocks, because this is supposed to be a server that's just running idle most of the time and only ramps up whenever I'm doing something on it to save power, because the 8150 is a power-hungry beast. Okay, so everything seems to be working. I'm gonna go try to find more intense games to throw at it and see if I can get it to BSOD. And if I can't, then cool. Okay, so the wonderful fuzzy donut of death is actually keeping it pretty rock solid at 69 degrees Celsius. Oh yeah. Here's some more detailed stats for you. We can see it's basically running at full tilt for the most part. Fan's not really running that hard, which is okay because I'm just stress testing it. And we can see that it's maxed out. It's actually running at a lower clock than it was in Heaven, probably just because it's so stressed out. But we're getting the full 4 gigahertz out of the memory, a very close 2 gigahertz out of this GPU core, and it's running rock solid. So I think we're good. Woohoo! Free computer upgrades are the best. And now to test the game that we actually want to play on it. So all this just to load up Diablo 3 and see how it performs. Diablo 3 is a game that's kind of hard to benchmark, especially while I'm, standing here and not playing the game. Basically, I'm going to be giving this computer to somebody who really wants to play Diablo. Hence why I am playing Diablo. It's very, very, very heavily CPU bottlenecked. So because of all the limitations, the underclock and everything that I have, on top of the fact that it's an 8150 and I no longer have my 8350, it kind of sucks. I saw it drop. I'm not anything crazy. I don't play this game as much as I probably should. I'm only Paragon 800. So I run... Oh, what's my highest? I think we run 80s in groups now. So, when Jesse and Brandon and I are playing in a 3-man group, we'll run Greater Rift 80s. So monster density is pretty high. I ran a 65 just because I could speed run it, just to see performance, and it dropped. The lowest point was about 27 that I had noticed. So totally playable. It's actually running in 720p, by the way, as well, because I wanted to see... because the TV that she's going to be using is a 720p native panel, and I was trying to see if it was GPU or CPU, and that tells me it's definitely CPU. So this is temporary because, again, Zen 2 is coming soon, and eventually I will no longer be using an 8150 bulldozer chips in here, but that will be a video to come. I promise that will be a very fun video, but for now... I'm actually really disappointed because I wanted to do a video where I fixed a graphics card, and I don't have to fix a graphics card, which is a good thing, but kind of disappointing. But that's okay. Free 1070s for the win, right? Anyway, yeah, I will see you guys around when Zen 2 launches, and I'll have several videos actually that I'm planning on doing then, and that will be all kinds of fun.